the land is rich, just like other countries in Africa as well. But one thing we need to understand is that anything that you possess, but you don't use, it doesn't belong to you. What belongs to you is what you are able to use. And the fact is that all those resources that we have in the Congo, the oil in Nigeria, or the uranium, I think in Mali or other countries, are being priced by foreign entities, precisely by the World Trade Organization, which is controlled by imperialists. Those are the ones who fix the price on our commodities and stuff like that. So literally or technically, we don't own those resources. And the liberation of Africa will begin from the moment that we own the land and we own our resources. And owning them, it means we are able to use and produce from them. So it is the same situation. If you talk about industry or industrialization in any African country, you will see that the faces behind the development or that industrial development are not black faces, are either Chinese or European people. And the black people are used in the factory lines where they are producing what the world wants and they cannot do without and they've never wanted to pay for. And when those industries or those factories actually move away, because that is the principle of capitalism, is to seek everywhere where the cheaper labor can be exploited to make more profits. When they move away, they leave behind them environmental deterioration, they leave away pollution in water, and the local population that were employed only for a short time in those industries, they leave them in precarity and a lot of sufferings. As you know, it is a situation everywhere where you have seen different countries having some industries, some manufacturing industries owned by European people. One example in the Congo is in 2005, there was this company called TFM. So this company, it got there. There was some mountains of coltans and a lot of minerals in the eastern part of Congo, or southern part of Congo rather. Those mountains were there for generations. They've never been removed. But that company got there. It was an American company. In less than 10 years, 3 mountains were already devastated because they went there searching for minerals and stuff like that. So after, as we're speaking now, that company is no longer functioning. It was sold to Chinese, and then Chinese, they are in and out and stuff like that. But the environment there, the local environment, is already polluted. Local people cannot produce, agricultural products that they used to produce there to survive, and they need now to go to the town and look for jobs, and that's the result of the so-called industrialization. So we need to be careful and to be more corporate, socially responsible, to know exactly how to create a balance in our exploitation of natural resources. And that is not the philosophy of capitalists, because it's all about profit and profit and profit, no matter what happened to the environment.
Wow, very devastating analysis there. And what I'm not hearing, which is very concerning, I suppose, is the strategy for change, but I'm sure we're going to be getting on to that. So just welcoming you once again, our young brother, the voice of the next generation. And so, this is such an important discussion because, we are analyzing and critiquing the situation that we're in today. And also very importantly, we need to be talking about what the future is going to be looking like. And towards the end of your conversation, hopefully I can bring back in our brother Rasool as well, where we talk about solutions. So family, rise up. Our young leader for tomorrow, Brother Kabala, who is in the house. So Brother Kabala, I know that you work in the field of community development. You're a community development strategist. You're also a mechanical engineer and also a member of the African Continental Unity Party. So, we're going to talk a little bit about those various strands of work that you're involved in and how you're impacting the community on the ground as well through your works and, what your vision is. from a young person's perspective for the future of Africa. So you spoke a little bit there about basically how capitalism is at work in the DRC to the detriment of the environment, to the detriment of the economic situation of the people there, to the detriment, of people's livelihood. I mean, it's not a good standing situation at all, but you're a development worker. You work within communities, help them to overcome some of the limitations. What are the sort of strategies that you feel that we ought to be putting in place to help the people, to overcome the exploitation that they're experiencing by these capitalist, usually foreign corporations that's coming into their regions and destroying their neighborhoods? And, tell me if I'm wrong, but it's almost as though they've got the buy-in from the community to come in and do this. How do you allow someone to come into your backyard and destroy 3 mountains? What is the mindset of our people? What are we doing to, change the mindset? If we're not responsible for looking after the environment in our own countries, then who is? There's a lot in what I'm asking you to address there, my brother Kabala. So let me give you the platform to respond.
Oh, that's great. I think the elder, as I got him in, just like in his conclusion, he talked about education. And education, I think, is very important at this time. We need education, and our people, the masses, have to be educated. One thing that you have to realize now is that whenever either politicians or on the media, everywhere, the mainstream, the narrative that is being pushed to the population is that we need to be good citizens, to do whatever we can do in order to attract foreign investors to come and invest. And the foreign investors are just what I've just explained. So I believe that the development of Africa, the transformation or the liberation of Africa will be a process that I can call bottom-up process rather than top-down process. So even though the government has a responsibility to put in place structures that will facilitate the development and growth, but the population, the masses of the people are responsible for what the outcome or for what the future has to become. As just the elderly said, it's easier for us to spend a couple of dollars to buy whiskey, to buy cigarettes that are being produced by foreign entities, not even by African people. But when it comes to do something that can obviously transform our communities, you see how black men begins to think twice and becomes reluctant in doing that, because we have that vision of here and right now. It means you want to enjoy right now, you want results right now, but we don't function in in concordance or in relation to the nature and the natural laws that requires one to sow so that it can reap after a certain time, right? There are certain things that we need to do today for the result to be benefiting our kids and our 4 kids. But we, in most cases, we don't have that mentality. If we have it today or tomorrow, after tomorrow, you will see that we will be kicking out of our communities the shops that are being run by, I don't know, Chinese or Pakistanis in order to replace them with our own shops and then provide to our people what we need. Because we cannot talk about freedom if in our communities, those who provide food for us do not look like us. Those who provide education do not look like us. Those who provide, I don't know, whatever, do not look like us. So what are we doing? We're waiting for the government to come and do all of that. I don't think that is possible. So what we need, in Africa, in African context generally, is to organize ourselves to begin now in every community, replacing all the supermarkets that are being owned by Chinese with our own supermarket. It's easy. We just have to find 1,000 people, 10,000 young men or young women, in our local communities and come each with $20. We cannot really pretend that we can spend the whole month without even a $20, right? And put $20, a month together, 10,000 of us, you can imagine what the figure will be. And eventually that can be able to set up a supermarket somewhere there and a shop in another area and stuff like that. That's how we can go about building ourselves in terms of community, by shifting away from the philosophy of individualism. It's only from a collective effort from the masses that we can change Africa. That's why I mean, that's what I think is a way forward from the current situation. We cannot talk about the capitalists in our communities if we are not having a plan to replace them. And the plan to replace them is to forget the idea of foreign investors and to begin investing in ourselves.
Brilliant suggestion there. We have a brother that rings my shows regularly. His name's Brother Akram. What you've just said there towards the tail end would be music to his ears. He's all about cooperative economics, about how we can pull our resources together as a collective to do projects and initiatives that are far greater than what maybe any one of us would be able to do on our own. And that idea of 10,000 young people coming together, putting $20 a month together, you know, for a year or so, and all being part of, you know, a bigger business, that's incredible. It's phenomenal, and absolutely agree that that is part of the solution and a real plan. What do you think in the chat, family? Give us some comments, give us some thoughts, and let us know what you're saying as well. Reigning Zion is saying, I love the idea. We do more if we set it up, or if he set it up. Maybe it's something you need to set up. Our brother Kabbalah, that's what's been suggested here. Mr. Wilfred saying the working environment in these factories and mines are often unhealthy. So true. And what's Papa Cheesy saying? Empowerment is needed, and a unified community. Wake up, African family. In certain parts of our motherland, our Cable land, the time is now. Bless up. One love, Ashe. So rise up, rise up. And Papa Cheesy was also saying that it's so sad, you know, the leadership has fallen off. The leadership has let us down dreadfully. But then, you know, we were hearing in the earlier discussion, you know, about the leaders being basically selected, being given lots of money to buy their voters. And that is something that we were talking about a couple of strongs ago with our brother Ras Cabria as well. He was talking about how the political system is financed basically by big business who are buying the politicians, financing their campaigns, and to the extent where it's so costly now to run for government that it's out of the reach of the ordinary person who might have a heart for the people to actually be in a position to afford to run for government. So that is a video that's and a show that's very worthwhile having. So Kwame is asking, have you started it, Kabbalah? I think everyone's liking your idea, and they're asking, have you started it? We need real leadership. Kabbalah, have you ever thought of maybe yourself starting that 10,000 youth initiative economic cooperative program?
Indeed, we have a plan, or actually a project like that in place. We have what we call Ubuntu Solidarity Project. It's actually a kind of an app that we have designed that anybody who is interested can obviously download it from the store, and obviously register and look all areas of investment that are available. We are right now on at the stage of funding for projects of transportation in Ghana, and after that we'll go to cassava plantation, still in Ghana, before we jump to other places. So we are busy chipping money. There are people in the US, in Africa, and England, putting money together to buy some buses for transportation in Ghana, as well as go into cassava plantation. So it's going to be a cooperative, collectively owned entity or enterprise. So we are already in the move, and we hope and believe that the ancestors will give us the power to get this initiative going through the whole continent of Africa. And we believe it's the only way we can alleviate our economic condition, by replacing ourselves with those who pretend to do for us what we are supposed to do for ourselves.
Wow. Tell us a bit more about that. So it's what's the name of the project? Ubuntu
Solidarity Project.
Ubuntu Solidarity Project. And we can all buy shares in it, or we can all donate. Is it?
Yeah. Okay. It's not kind of donating. It's kind of contributing or buying shares. I think that's a proper technical word.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Exactly. So
and so there are a number of projects, and we can select what projects we want to buy shares in. Is that right?
That's how it's gonna be. You're gonna, when you open the app is going to be launched. It's almost done. It's going to be launched, shortly, but it's operational anyway, underground for those who are interested. But it's gonna be publicly launched shortly, in a sense that when you open it, you can see, you can browse per each country, like Congo, what kind of projects are available in the Congo, Ghana, Nigeria, and you will be funding the project or contributing to what is needed as a funding amount or capital to that project. And you're also going to be able to track your investment, how, when it's done and how it's done, and obviously the potential return to that investment. So everything will be done or managed through the app. It's age of technology, by the way. That's the idea.
Brilliant. Sounds absolutely brilliant to me. And you said it's already up and running. How long has it been running for? And how is the project progressing and developing on the ground already?
No, okay. At this stage, I said we are still at the stage of funding for the first project, which is the transportation. Okay. In Ghana, we are at this moment, we're sitting, I think it's 45% of the total amount that we need to actually kickstart with the projects. So we have 45% already collected, and we're looking forward by the end or beginning of the next month to cover the remaining part and obviously start the projects.
Sounds amazing. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I know you're at the technological age. If you're able to put something up on the screen, share screen and put something up on the screen to show us, don't hesitate to do so that we can see what the app looks like, where we can go to get the app, how we can actually donate towards this enterprise. Because I'm sure for most of the people watching in the diaspora, even if it's $20 a month, that's not really going to be much of a chip out of their shopping basket. We could be donating and buying shares and contributing towards the development of economic projects and initiatives on the continent. What a brilliant solution. I actually love the idea of that cooperative Ubuntu initiative. Wow. And so, my young brother, I know you do community development work across Africa, various countries in Africa. We were talking before, and you were saying not only do you work in the Congo, you do work in Ghana and numerous other countries on the continent. You work across South Africa as well, Ghana, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau. What's the future like from your perspective? If you was to kind of critique and do an analysis of where we're at across those various African countries, because it's easy for us on the outside to look at the doom and gloom, but what's really happening on the ground? What's the energy like among young people to be the change that they want to see? I know you spoke about the older men who prefer to drink whiskey rather than contribute towards an initiative like this, or, who maybe don't want to sow, but they just want to reap and they think of today and not tomorrow. But what is the mindset of the young people at the moment across the continent or across the countries that you've been working on at a community development level?
Well, overall, I must say that the situations are pretty much positive, but still requiring more efforts on our side the effort at the level of the threat that we are facing as African people, globally speaking. If you remember some years ago in 2011, Muammar Gaddafi, the leader of Libya, was killed. And somehow, all of us in the continent, the narrative was Gaddafi was a dictator and need to be killed. And we supported that narrative. Now, recently, you will see the same situation again, almost happening in Ethiopia, whereby the government in Ethiopia was about to be overthrown by American and imperialists through the rebellion supports or funded, so to say. But if you see now, the narrative in Africa was perceived differently. The young people in Africa stood against that. They didn't fall in that trap that happened in 2011, whereby what the Western media says is what we all, is that how we interpreted the situation. So that is to say that the minds of African people is changing now. We are getting that understanding that the imperialist is not our friend. No matter how they can talk, no matter how they can advertise, they have never wanted to see us in a good shape or in a good position or developing as we need to be. So we are now locating what is our interest and where is our interest actually and how to find it. So that is actually, generally speaking, the mindset in Africa. Many people are waking up, understanding the reality, but it's not enough because knowledge, in most cases, people say that knowledge is power, but knowledge is not the power. Knowledge is only a potential power because you may know what to do in order to lose weight, for example, but until you begin to do something to lose weight, you're still going to suffer with obesity. You may also know that driving and texting is dangerous, but we have many people who happen to find themselves in accidents while they were texting and driving, while they knew that driving and texting is dangerous. So it means knowledge that you get does not serve you until you practice the knowledge. In other words, only applied knowledge is the power. So what is happening in Africa now is good that we know that imperialism is our enemy or is our problem, but we haven't been able to actually put that knowledge in motion in order to create certain activities that will bring fundamental change in the continent. That is where we are stuck at this moment with an African community, generally speaking. I'm looking at the people, African community abroad, in US, in England, in Africa. I see almost the same thing. We use knowledge as a weapon to attack and destroy other African people who have less knowledge than us. That's what we use knowledge for. We use knowledge as a weapon to obviously brag how knowledgeable we are and to undermine those who have less knowledge than us, and to project ourselves in a position of leaders and stuff like. But we don't have pragmatically actions or activities that have to bring a fundamental change, whether in the sector of economy, healthcare, education, and in all these areas where we have serious issues. That's where we are stuck, and that is what we have to overcome now in order to actually help Africa. In order for actually hope for Africa to be that Africa we need out of the 21st century. But if we are contenting ourselves only with the knowledge, with the theories and philosophies that we have never been able to put in practice, there's no hope for Africa out of the 21st century.
I hear you on that, my brother. So, more ideas for solutions, a more practical implementation of solution-orientated initiatives as well. What is your, view in terms of the leadership, and what can we do to help build and train new leaders who can be the leaders of tomorrow in Africa, my brother?
Well, we need to know, as you said in a comment right now, the current leadership in Africa is funded, is trained and funded to do a particular job. And one thing in particular that we can realize or that we can analyze about the current leadership in Africa is that there are certain leaders who have good mindsets, who want to do good things, but they are afraid of the imperialism. They are afraid because they know what can happen to them if they attempt to do something that benefit the people. So they, in order to protect themselves, in order to be good leaders, to gain some marks, in the international institutions that are obviously marking good leaders. And those good leaders means the leaders who align themselves with Western philosophy, at the detriment of their own population. So this is a situation. And I don't tend to blame completely the leaders for the situation in which they find themselves, because it's a kind of inertia where you find yourself, and being trained by that inertia, you cannot stop against it suddenly, because it's going to crush you. You rather escape it, but by following its motion. But that's technical context. But what I'm saying is that we share the responsibility, us as the masses and the leaders. What we have to do as a people, we need to make sure that we create a context or a situation of fear, the same way that the leaders are afraid of the imperialists. We must also make sure that they are also afraid of the general population. So in that case, they will find themselves in the middle. So those who cannot satisfy either us, they have to obviously exit themselves, because they would have failed their mission. In other words, what I'm trying to say, we must create a context, because in most cases, the leaders who misbehave, they do misbehave with a license given by the population. So if we can create the same context, the same picture that the leader have of the West, in a way that if they do what the West doesn't want, the West will off them. They must also realize that if they don't do what we want as the masses, will off them. That's the reason why I do congratulate a kind of revolution that is happening in French-speaking Africa now, in Mali, Burkina Faso, in Guinea, is a good thing. The leaders must realize that if they don't really take care of the population, at some point the population must tend to them and obviously off them, as is happening now. I think that's how that's how we can go about changing the situation, by creating leaders who are responsible and leaders who are accountable. And secondly, before I finish, one thing is that we want leaders who respond to our problems, but we have never been ready to fund their campaigns or to promote their campaigns or even to support their campaigns. We never ask the questions of where are they coming with the money, because we know that political campaigns are very expensive, but we don't ask questions of where are they getting money to actually run their campaigns. All that we just want rhetorics, and then we vote, and we begin to complain because we don't get what we expected. And obviously we cannot get what we expected because we didn't support, we didn't sponsor, and we didn't fund the leader and his program. There's a difference between the one who elects and the one who selects. The one who selects gives a mandate and gives a support, but the one who only elects, he elects a candidate who has been selected by other people, and he has been selected on a specific mandate that he has to accomplish, and that is not always the mandates of the population. That's what we need to understand. Therefore, again, education is very important, because until our people understand these things, how politics works, we will be always played with or manipulated, as we have been for the past 50 years of the, Africa post-independence.
Yes, indeed, my brother. I agree with you on all of that. Let's hear what some of our audience in the chat are saying at the moment. Papa Cheesy is saying the leaders need truthful security around them. Bless up, one love, know thyself and thy creator with much respect. Absolutely agree. How do we secure good leaders? In my opinion, President MAGA fully on board. How about everybody who watches this video coming on board and, committing to $20 a month, or even a one-off $20, that's going to be injected into this really excellent initiative, Ubuntu Solidarity Project. Let's hear your response, Brother Kabala, to some of the comments in the chat, and then I'd like to bring in Brother Rasul towards, to help wrap up and contribute to some of what he's been hearing you talk about today. But first of all, what is your response to our audience, to the comments from our audience?
Well, the first thing that I want to say is that if everyone comes on board and put the resources together, there will be revolution tomorrow, because many things will change. It's that stage where we are stuck at the moment. It's organization. We are a single group of people, or a race of people, actually, in this world that is very disorganized. And it's because we have adopted very much the idea of individualism, that we that we have embraced from the education, Western education that we have gone through, and the media, everything preach about individualism. Individual rights is actually projected more than collective rights. While in the African traditional system, collective rights is above individual rights, because everyone is as powerful as his community where he comes from is. If you're coming from a weak community, no matter how how much money you have, even if you're coming from Barack Obama's family, you're going to be still treated like just another black man or another Negro with no value at all. But if you're coming from a strong community, a community that is responsible, that makes things happen, then obviously you're going to be evaluated with the same level that your community has projected. So I had a gentleman say, asking, how can we protect the good leaders? Well, I will say a good leader does not need protection, because a good leader cannot be attacked. And a good leader I'm talking about is the vision. One of the problems or one of the difficulties that we have heard in Africa so far is because we have centered our initiatives or our struggles on individuals rather than on the vision. And it's easy to destroy an individual who carries an agenda. And by killing him, obviously, you can compromise the whole agenda or the whole movement that he was obviously campaigning for. But if we can center our activities, our effort, our struggle on the vision and let the vision lead, and all of us should follow the vision, it's going to be difficult to kill that vision as a leader, because you can never kill a problem. You can only kill the person who actually struggled for the problem, but you never, as long as the problem is still there, other people will come. In other words, you may kill a revolutionary, but you cannot kill the revolution. So let us make the vision the leader. That is a new way we can obviously change Africa, because we are facing strong forces of imperialism. We are facing atomic bombs, hydrogen bombs, and all these kind of bombs that they are making. We shouldn't be mistaken about it. They don't make them for animals, they make them for human beings. Whenever you begin to challenge the power structure, the capability of capitalism to exploit the masses, obviously you must understand the pressure or the situation that is facing you. But if we put a vision in forefront of us, nobody can kill the vision. All of us, we stay behind the vision and we follow the vision. And once we follow the vision, we find ourselves where we are supposed to be and doing what we are supposed to do. That's what I can say from the comments that I've heard so far.
Absolutely brilliant. Oh my gosh, let us make the vision the leader. You can kill the leader, but you can't kill the vision. Let's follow the vision. Absolutely love that. Brother Rasool, let's bring you back in here, my brother. You've been here. Brother Kabbalah, unmute yourself.
No, correct. No, correct. I do appreciate what my elder Rasool said. I think is completely right. And I define that in two issues or in two categories. I think is what actually make a difference between people who are successful in this world or nations that are successful in the nation that are not successful. And that difference is the vision and ambition. In most cases, us as African people, we are still operating on ambition. We are driven by ambition. And every time that you are driven by ambition, you have an ideal. It means you have another entity that you have to imitate in order for you to drive your ambition, to do what they are doing, to meet up with them and to catch up with them, something like that's what ambition is about. But for people who have a vision, who are driven by a vision, are the people who go deep in their imagination and create something unique, related to their own situation, and begin to pursue that or the execution of that ideal which they've created in their mind. They don't have to imitate other people. They don't have to be a copycat of other people. They are themselves doing things for themselves. For example, I'll give you an example. I think 2 days back in Senegal, they were celebrating a stadium, for soccer stadium that were built there. And one has to ask himself, why do we have to celebrate a stadium that has been built to the standards of European stadium, simply because it is an ambition. We want to do what Europeans have done. They have built good stadium, then we build also good stadium. But that is not a vision. A vision should be make you, unique. A vision should be make you unique in a way that you sit down, you go deep in your imagination, you decide, okay, you know what? There's nobody who has ever go to the sun. I'm gonna go to the sun, and you begin to build there. Everything that you do is for you to get to the sun, not to become like a copycat of other people. Because Dr. John Henry Clark told us, every time that you think for you to become better, you need to imitate other people. You are making yourself a slave of those you are imitating. Whether you have, they build a jail for you or not, the psychological jail or the psychological chains of your mind are very important than any steel that can bind you. So we need to understand that. I agree completely. We need to understand that we only have to get a vision that can now obviously motivate our actions, instead of having ambitions to transform Congo to Belgium, or to transform Senegal to France, or literally to making ourselves little British, little French, and little Portuguese, according to who colonized you. So, and every time that you want to imitate everyone, anybody, you're never going to be equal to them. You can only, or you cannot even be more than them. You can only come near, to them, but not equal or more than them, because you are imitating them, you are following them. So we need to understand this thing very well in order to make sure that Africa that we want tomorrow is Africa that is Africa of people who have vision and people who are successful. And particularly, one thing that have to be understood is that we, at this generation, we are a key generation that can bring a change that Africa needs. If we miss it, there will probably not going to be a chance for Africa to rise again. And the reason I'm saying that is because some of us today, some of our generation, including yourself, as I'm saying in this audience, we have seen a world without a smartphone, smart cars, smart TV, smart whatever. So if I had a need to come to you, like my sister Shanice, I was going to come to you organically, interact with you organically. We had a patience, because we didn't have a smart and fast world as we're having it today. So kids who are born today, they never know something like organic relationship, because everything is done through technology. They're never going to know something like organic food, because you have GMO now flooding the markets. They were never going to know patience, because now you click, your phone, you have response for anything that you need. So they will never going to know the world as we knew it. So we are the ones who can lay the foundation for a new Africa that we want, an Africa whereby we have a true love, we have a spirit of Ubuntu, a spirit of collectivism and Pan-Africanism. Because now those who coming after us, they never have a chance to see that picture, and they will never gonna obviously create something like that, because now we are coming into a society that is more kind of robotized. So that is just to emphasize that we are a key generation, and everything that you have can be a tool that can be used to liberate Africa. It's good for you to have a job. It's good for you to have your religion. It's good for you to have your education. It's good for you to have your political party. But your life and my life will never change until we embark collectively in the politics of our liberation, or we can still enjoy the politics of our oppression. Peace and power. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Before you go, Brother Kabala, I just want to bring in